ts and s for English speakers. In this video, you will learn why native speakers of English sometimes mispronounce ts as s, why it is important to distinguish ts versus s in Japanese, and how you can clearly distinguish those two sounds. Look at this image and listen to two different pronunciations. Which one is right? A. Suki, suki. B. Tsuki, tsuki. Which one was pronounced correctly? Yes, B is the right answer. In A, it is said suki, one of the most common errors that native speakers of English make for tsuki. As we learned in the video, 46 basic sounds of Japanese, most of the basic sounds consist of a consonant and a vowel. For example, ta consists of consonant T and vowel A. However, for t in T column, it is not pronounced as tu, but it's pronounced as tsu. Don't you think this sound is interesting? Because the first consonant of tsu is one sound, which consists of T sound and S sound. As you saw in the phonetics introduction video, when you produce T, your tongue touches the alveolar ridge to stop the airflow. But when you produce S, your tongue does not touch anywhere so that the air goes through the mouth smoothly. In English, TS sound usually appears at the end of a word, as in cats, mints, and roots. If the TS sound also exists in English, then why is it hard to say tsuki for English speakers? It is because there is no combination of TS and U in English. This is why English speakers find it hard to pronounce tsuki. On the other hand, S sound appears more widely in English. For example, sun, fist, and books. Also in English, S sound can be followed by U sound, as in soon. If a certain sequence of sounds is not found in the native language, it is often replaced by a similar sequence of sounds that is present in the language. When we try to say tsunami, you may have heard native speakers of English pronounce it as tsunami. This is because S sound is more familiar to English speakers than TS. In Japanese, these two sounds are contrastive and can deliver different meanings. For example, tsuki means moon, and suki means to like. Tsuru means to fish, and suru means to do. If you pronounce them wrongly, the listener may get confused and could lead to a miscommunication. This is why it is important to make a clear distinction between tsu and su. Then, how can we practice pronouncing the tsu sound? First, say cats. Then add u at the end and make a syllable. It will sound like katsu. Listen and repeat. Katsu. There, you've just made the Japanese tsu sound. Let's pronounce these words together. Tsuki, tsuki, suki, suki, tsuru, tsuru, suru, suru, tsukue, tsukue. Let's review what we've learned in this video. First, why do native speakers of English sometimes mispronounce tsu as su? It is because English does not have the combination of TS and U, sometimes substituting S instead of TS. Second, why is it important to distinguish tsu and su in Japanese? In Japanese, TS and S are distinctive sounds that deliver different meanings in words. They should be clearly distinguished in order to avoid misunderstanding. Third, how can you clearly distinguish those two sounds? For S, the tongue does not touch anywhere, while TS, the tongue touches the alveolar ridge, like you would pronounce T. TS is a complex sound, since you start with T and then release the air as you would pronounce S.